I want to talk to you today about the key to navigating change with confidence. Change rarely introduces itself politely. It doesn't wait until we feel ready. It doesn't check our calendar. And it doesn't ask if this is a good time for you to experience change. It usually shows up through loss and uncertainty. That's true in business. That's true in leadership, in life, marriage, or the world overall. And it's certainly true in faith. Which raises the question we all face, even if we don't want to admit it. How do I stay confident when change costs me time, money, certainty, or control? Because confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is choosing faith even when the way is unclear. Before God ever asks you to move forward, he exposes the thing that you're really anchored to. Ruth didn't ask for the disruption that she experienced in life. If you know the story of Ruth, she lost her husband, she lost her security, her sons, her identity. Everything that told her who she was in life was taken away. And then came the decision point. I could either go back to what's familiar, I could go back to what's predictable, I could go back to what's culturally logical, or she could step into the unknown. Now, here's the thing about it. She's walking with Naomi, and Naomi actually encourages her to resist change. Because change will always come with the opportunity to exit the ramp. Who's experiencing that and know that? There's always a return to what feels safe. And that's the tension that many of us live today. It's not rebellion, it's not hesitation, not disbelief, it's uncertainty. 16 years ago, Lead Visionary 2, Elisha and myself were in a place, in a ministry, and everything looked great. There were no real issues. We had been there 5, 6, 7 years. I'm thinking 5 years we had been there. There was stability, some momentum. But God still pushed us to change. Not because God was upset with anyone, not because God was angry about what we were doing, but because God was preparing us. And sometimes, like we felt in that moment, that's uncomfortable. Because when God ignites change or initiates change, he rarely explains himself fully. He rarely makes it very clear. He just allows for life to ignite or initiate change, and then you're left with trying to figure out how far to trust God. So the real battle wasn't external, it was internal. Do we trust God enough to move on when he says, oh, clarity will come later? So let me ask you, what internal voice is telling you to delay a change that God has already confirmed that he wants for your life? Here's what Ruth reveals, and it's the key. Naomi presses her again and again to go back. But Ruth responds, please do not keep or continue to urge me to go back from you. Because where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. And your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Couldn't you use a friend like that in your life today? Someone who says to you, no matter what you're going through, no matter how difficult it is, no matter your issues, your trials, your tribulations, and the mistakes you made, don't push me away. Whatever you're going through will be my trial. Whatever your situation is, I'll hunker down with you. Wouldn't that be just an amazing friend? That's the kind of friend we have in Christ. That no matter what we're going through, no matter what our issues are, no matter what it is, he reminds us daily that we can do all things through him that what? Strengthens us. So Ruth's statement wasn't emotional. It wasn't, I'm feeling it today, but tomorrow I may feel a different way. I'm getting ready to help someone here today understand. Her statement was contractual. Ruth's confidence didn't come from circumstances. It came from commitment. And she did 3 things that unlocks confidence in God when we're dealing with change. Number 1, she refused to retreat. She did not cling to Moab, even though in the natural sense it made sense. Moab was the place that they all knew, so that would have been a logical thing to say, how about I stay in Moab? Bethlehem, on the other hand, was uncertain. But confidence always grows when you stop building escape routes. How many of us got some escape routes for the gym? How many of us got some escape routes for our diet? Some escape routes for our marriage? Some escape routes for our relationships? Well, if you upset me one time, I'm going to take this ramp and I'm going to exit the relationship. Recently, my wife was sharing with me something that happened between me and a friend that I had known over 20 plus years. And when she explained to me what reason they gave for not coming around again, I thought, something that minute? See, here's the thing about life. Life is change all day, all night long. Whether it be change in your environment, whether it be change in your relationships, and it's not about what's happening to you, it's about how you are perceiving it, processing it, and then how you place that back out into the world. Here's a leadership principle I want you to hear. You navigate change better when your heart for what you're believing in is settled and not divided. So when change comes in that relationship, if your heart is already settled that we're in this for life, then you navigate change better when your heart is settled and not what? divided. And this is where I like to take a little pastoral authority and speak on something that many people struggle with is giving. Like giving, because it means it's a change. It's something you're being asked to do. And what they don't realize is that it's never about what you are experiencing, what you're being asked to do. It's just that a divided heart produces selective commitment. Some people aren't resisting change. They're just keeping their options open. I love, and she always hates for me to put her on the spot like this, but I love what Derek and Melissa has shared with me. One time we were talking about giving and how they realized that the ministry has gone through changes. They realized that we've had some ups and some downs, but they said, yeah, but we just decided that love should be put on auto draft. Now, guess what? That's consistent what they're doing, but the ministry is going like this. At times we have some good years, some bad years. See, but what they're saying is change does not change my commitment if I've already decided in my heart, come on.
Yes, yes.
You cannot live confidently with change if you have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. Because you cannot walk confidently with divided footing. Number 2, she anchored herself to God, not outcomes. Ruth didn't know. Will we be accepted in Bethlehem, visionary marriage? She didn't know. She didn't know, will we be provided for, Christian? She didn't know. She didn't know if her future would improve. Yet, before any outcome, before anything could change her heart and her mind, she decided to say, your God will be my God, and your people will be my people. Because her confidence was not in a plan, it was in God. How many of us, if we're very honest, sometimes the reason we waver in what we're going to do for God in life, how we feel, because our confidence is in a plan. And if the plan begins to feel shaky, we think God couldn't possibly be in it. That's why change feels heavy for many people today. Because they want certainty before obedience. Change becomes manageable when trust is rooted in God's character, not predicted results. Whatever you're going through, if your heart and your belief and your faith is rooted in God's character, not the result that you're looking for, change becomes manageable and easier. This applies to your calendar, to your finances, to how deeply you're engaged in doing the work of God. When belief is strong, commitment is consistent. She chose faith. She chose faith over personal comfort. Ruth chose loyalty over logic. Faith over familiarity. And relationship over self-preservation. She stayed with Naomi without guarantees. And sometimes confidence in change, it's not very dramatic. Sometimes it just looks like no matter what we're going through, you can count on me showing up consistently. Sometimes it just looks like giving without fear. Sometimes it looks like serving without keeping score. How many of us sometimes struggle with that? Serving without keeping score. And that's not weakness. That's maturity. So let me say this in a loving way, in the most loving way I can. Many people are still serving God from a worldly model. They see change, and they see the change God has brought, even to the leadership center. But their commitment is only so far. They'll only go so far. I see it in time allocation. I see it in engagement, and clearly in where people will place their treasures in giving. And I want you to understand something that you need to hear from me. Giving isn't about money. It's about confidence. It's about confidence. You say, well, what is it? What is the confidence? The confidence is in God. That the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. That even when your life brings uncertainty, brings change, brings things that you're not quite sure of, you say, this belongs to God, even though I'm experiencing change. It's about confidence, because unconfident, uncertain, doubtful, hesitant, diffident, apprehensive, unsure, tentative, and timid resources will never follow vision. I'm taking y'all back to Ruth and Naomi. Place yourself there. If you were unconfident about who Naomi was, who God was, uncertain, doubtful, hesitant, apprehensive, unsure, tentative, and timid, you would never have followed Naomi to your purpose. What happens in change is it reveals individuals' belief level, faith level, commitment level. I think about when we had COVID and how we had to go finally back to the house. And there was some uncertainty, some wavering, and some doubt, because that was different. But I think about the people who said, I feel a little uneasy, I feel a little uncertain, but I trusted God in you. See, what change is meant for is not to say you won't feel wavery, you won't feel uncertain, you won't feel doubtful. What change is for is to see if you can obey even when you feel differently, if you can move even when you doubt, if you can decide even when everything that you're seeing says this doesn't make sense to me. So what we often experience here at the Leadership Center, in many people, it's not resistance, it's hesitation. Many are operating in the just in case model. They will only give, do, or commit to so much just in case. Some will remain like Oprah. Oprah was the other person in the story. Oprah decided, you know what? This is too much you're asking for me. So Naomi and Ruth, you guys can continue, but I have to exit. So some will remain like Oprah and protect themselves first, even if they are with you physically. And that's not judgment, that's reality. But God shows us in this story that he does not need the support of the unbeliever in order for him to exact purpose on someone's life or in someone's life. He does not require unanimous agreement to move destiny forward. So the leadership center will be all right with or without people who can commit, who can engage or give, not because I'm so great, but because anytime God creates a purpose, a time, and a desired outcome, then nothing man can do can stop it. And finally, I'll say it like this from our perspective. The Leadership Center, even in the midst of change, Deacon Harry, whatever happens, will remain. Why? Because we will remain confident in this, that we will see the salvation of the Lord. So here's what Ruth couldn't see, and many of us sometimes can't see, but God still expects for us to move. She couldn't see the divine provision beforehand. She couldn't see that it would be a redemptive story. She couldn't see that she would be part of the lineage of Christ. All she could see was what looked like loss. But what looked like loss, because she had faith in the midst of change and uncertainty, became legacy. So 16 years later, when LV2 and I experienced God calling us, experienced change, experienced for us to move, we couldn't see today. We couldn't see all of these amazing faces here. We couldn't see having the Leadership Center in DeKalb where we at, Hidden Hill community. We couldn't see that. But what we thought we would lose it on the front end, God was saying to us, but one day what you gave back to me will be legacy. Full circle. Proof that when God leads change, even painful beginnings can produce powerful outcomes. What each of us have to understand is our confidence in God during the most challenging moments of life affects the people watching us and how we respond to what God is calling us to, the community and the world around us, watching to see if we will be obedient in spite of. Because the future depends on your decision to either fully trust God or do like Oprah did when she declared, I want off this train. Every day, God is asking you to choose faith over fear, hope over uncertainty, wisdom over careless words. Every day, he's telling you that whatever changes in your life, I've already provided what you need to get through the change. And we can go back to our 2026 theme, which is within sparks beyond. Whatever the change that's happening in your life, you have to know that within you, greatness already exists, but you have to insist on pulling on it. Whatever change that happens in your life, you have to know that within you, there's a spark that says commitment will activate it, but you have to curate it. Whatever change that happens in your life, good, bad, uncomfortable, things you don't particularly like, you have to understand that your response and how you respond to it, to that change goes beyond you. And obedience multiplies it. But you have to show work that's equal to the faith you claim. So, I'll end it with this. It will become very difficult for you to navigate change if you try to see God in a new way, holding on to old ideas. Change will feel overwhelming, I'm just telling you. If your old way of dealing with the stress of this world and the stress of issues and the stress of life is I pull out some bonbons and I eat a whole gallon of Haagen-Dazs and I'm sorry, we're not talking about me. I'm sorry, we're talking about you all. I'm sorry. Let me come out of me. You know, I drink a little bit. I get so stressed that I don't want to live this life. If that's your old way of dealing with change in this world, I'm telling you, it will become difficult for you to navigate it. But if you adopt a new way, maybe add prayer. Let me say this. Change does not happen because you initiate anything. Change happens because you consistently stick with what you initiate. I want to just say that because some people say, I tried prayer. Well, how long did you pray? About 10 minutes. Oh, I prayed one day and I didn't see any change. Well, you have to realize that the first day you pray, you're learning. So you may not have even been praying. You know, prayer is a learned behavior. There's no particular way you have to pray. I'm saying the behavior is a learned behavior because the first time you pray, you might just not be praying. You may be on an asking tour. So with change and being confident with change, you can't keep one eye on what may go wrong now and then say, I trust God. Anybody have that struggle, that challenge? And you certainly can't expect full access to what's next in God if you won't leave what's happening right now in your life. So what's the answer? The answer is, if God is leading whatever things are happening in your life, you can be confident that he who began a good work in you shall see it to the end. Well, you say, well, how do I know if God is leading it? It doesn't matter if you know, you have to trust. I will tell you how I know when God is working in my life, even when it's things that I don't like. If it doesn't consume me, I just assume he's working. I wake up the next day, I say, he must be working. He didn't take me out.
Right.
It must be meant for me. He didn't just come down and get me. So even when the path isn't clear, you must have clarity with your faith in God. So the path and how you see God must never mirror unless it mirrors confidence in who God is. If you have fear and doubt for the path that you're on, that must not be the same mirror you use in your trust for God. So God will ask you for costly decisions. He asked Ruth to give up her life without knowing what was going to come back from it. The confidence that we must have must never be in our situation, must never be in how we feel, but must always be rooted in who God has been in our lives. So confidence is not knowing the outcome. It's knowing who you're following and their character. Ruth knew Naomi's character. You know the character of God. So here's the charge. Whatever change God is revealing before you, settle your heart. Lord, I am committed to this because you initiated the change. Whatever change God is calling you to in your own life, settle in your heart before you make the move. The eating habits, this relationship, these people, at all cost, I align myself to the idea that it will be successful even before I know the outcome. And here's the blessing that I would like to speak over all of you as you navigate the ups and downs of change, the ups and downs of life, the difficult moments of marriage, financial challenges, work challenges, life challenges. Sometimes just waking up, you change as a person 3 times in 20 minutes. Anybody know that? Like your mind just kind of. I pray over you the courage of Ruth, the clarity to release old fears, old judgments, and old behaviors, and the confidence to know that what feels like too much change today, that what feels like too much requirement today will actually become legacy tomorrow. Because if God is in it, everything will be all right. Thank you so much. If you're joining our broadcast today and maybe you're experiencing a lot of change, maybe you're thinking to yourself, how do I navigate this change? It just feels like so much is coming at me. I would say, if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, That's step number one. Well, you say, well, why is that important? Because once you believe that he came to the earth through the Virgin Mary, he walked amongst us as man, he died on the cross, buried in the grave, arose 3 days with all power in his hands. Once you believe that, you realize that you have more purpose and you have more reasons to live and to not quit and give up than you ever thought. And secondly, if you're looking for somewhere to call home, we would love for you to join us at the Leadership Center, Hidden Hills Community. We'd love to see your face, love on you, hug on you. And finally, if God lays it upon your heart to support this ministry, this purpose that God has placed in us, it's right on the screen. Please open your hearts to do that. Well, I thank you so much for joining our broadcast today. I pray over you favor, joy, peace, and clarity in your walk with God always. Thank you so much. Make